All right. Seems like most of you are good. I guess we'll get started. Today we're going to do reading passages as well as just like basic grammar rules. We'll start off with SAT fiction / literature passages. There's usually just like one of these in each of the reading and writing sections. So like you have two. It's usually going to be an excerpt from a novel or a story. So like it could be just from a book published a couple years ago or a book published decades ago. Some tips to read the passages effectively. So pay attention to the characters. Every character has well, not every character, most characters have significant dialogue and like internal thoughts or feelings that are revealed during the passage, and questions usually ask something about them. And like if you just write down like notes about those specific points in time, like you don't have to like search the passage for the evidence again, and you will just remember it better. I suggest just taking notes after each paragraph so you don't say like not understand like when a significant dialogue occurs, and you just remember the passage better when you do write like a small line of notes after each paragraph. Track the emotions. So the literature passage may be followed by questions that ask about the mood of the passage. And the mood is like the effect of a specified word or phrase, that the effect of a specified word or phrase that has on a reader. And as you read, like there's going to be shifts in the character's feelings or emotions that are, I guess, visible, I guess. And there's like certain words that say that the mood is now this versus that. And you have to answer questions about the author's technique and make descriptions of the note that the mood, the shift in mood will help you later. So we'll switch from reading to writing simply because there isn't too much to say other than practice. For reading, like it's a lot easier to explain how to do it when you do through a passage versus me telling you do this, do that. And so we won't spend too much time on it. For grammar, on the other hand, there are a couple rules we have to know. I'll do half of them today and the other half 2 weeks from now in the next English class. So we'll just get started with that. So the subject and some grammar rules are the subject and the verb must agree. So like one of the most commonly tested grammar rules in the SAT writing section is subject verb agreement. Simply put, if the subject is singular or like it's only talking about one person, the verb should also only talk about one person. And if the subject is plural and talking about multiple people or things, the verb should also be plural and describe multiple people or things. So for example, for a singular subject and a verb, Jack runs down the street. Jack is the singular person and runs describes the singular person that is Jack. For plural, Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill run down the street. Jack and Jill are the plural. There's two people and they run down the street. Run describes both of the people. So collective nouns are singular. So to complicate basic subject verb agreement, the SAT writing and language test often uses things like collective nouns to trick test takers. These refer to like group words used to refer to multiple individuals as singular subjects. For example, there's the incorrect version. The jury are confused that John is guilty. This is wrong because the jury is a single thing. The jury is not, say, multiple people. Well, it is. The definition of the word jury, it means that there's multiple people. However, in this case, we're referring to jury as a single person. Therefore, the correct version of the sentence would be the jury is convinced that John is guilty. Here, I'm just gonna put annotations so I can explain this better. All right. So another type of grammar rule that is prevalent in the SAT is prepositional phrases do not make a subject singular or plural. So you can't say the preposition is basically tells whether the subject is singular or plural. So I'll read off this paragraph. One of the most important grammar rules is to remember when doing prep for SAT writing and the SAT writing and language test is prepositions are not used when identifying whether or not a subject is plural or singular. Instead, the head noun or like the noun being modified by the preposition tells us which verb form to use. So for examples on this, there's the incorrect version. The group of members are extremely passionate. So what's being described here is the group. not the members. So if you just erase this, this becomes is, because as I said up here, collective nouns versus singular, the group, just like the jury, is a single thing. Therefore, the correct version of that is the group of members is extremely passionate. Here's another example of an incorrect statement. The book with 5 chapters are well written. We're not describing the 5 chapters. What we're describing is the book. Therefore, this has to be singular. And that is why R is transformed to is, because we're describing book and not with 5 chapters, the 5 chapters. Okay, some more grammar rules. So prepositions must be clear in reference and number. On the SAT writing and language test, you should always be prepared to like circle a pronoun and draw an arrow to the exact person, place, or thing being referenced. So in this case, the incorrect statement is John, Jim, and Carl were running when he got tired and slipped. And he got tired and stopped. Who is he? In this case, I can't just say he is, say, Carl, or he is Jim, or he is John. And that is why this sentence is wrong. The correct version of this would be John, Jim, and Carl were running when Jim got tired and stopped. This is correct because here we can say Jim is referring to this Jim. And it's not like he is referring to any of those 3. Modifiers have to appear next to whatever they're modifying. So one common error type on the SAT writing section is the use of dangling and misplaced modifiers. Exactly what they sound like. Modifiers are words or phrases that modify another word to give the reader more information. Always remember, when you see a modifier, especially at the beginning of a sentence, remember the word directly following that comma must be the word that is being modified. So the incorrect version of this is a very precocious young boy. Engineering came easy to Billy. So what is happening here is we have a modifier, and the word right after is engineering. Engineering isn't a young and precious boy, so therefore this is wrong. The correct version of this would be a very precocious young boy. Billy found engineering easy. In this case, the modifier is describing Billy, which makes sense, versus the modifier describing engineering, which isn't a boy at all. So yeah, we have a short lecture today simply because there isn't too much to explain on this. 99% of English and writing as well is just you have to know your grammar rules and you have to practice a lot. There are some strategies for reading, but you have to, it's more of you do them and you find out what works for you, what works best for you. So any questions on whatever we did so far? Also, yeah, I'll send the slides, the link to the slides today. All right, any questions? It doesn't even have to be about this lecture. I am perfectly willing to talk about stuff that we did in the previous lectures. No, I guess. Okay, then we'll just continue on to practice problems. Or one sec, I have to post the slides. Also, can you guys go to that site? This is where we're going to do the reading passage practice problem. So since we're doing fiction passages, I made sure to choose a fiction passage from the site. The site's a really good place to find a lot of reading passages. It offers over 100 of them. So it's a pretty good place to look, I guess. Mohit? Yeah.
Can you send the link?
Yeah. I'll send the link to it. One sec.
Thank you.
1 second. There, and then escape here. Wait, I sent it to a direct message. Sorry about that. There. All right. I guess I'll give you guys a minute to just read this, and then I will, I guess, do this passage after you guys. Or I'll give you 5 minutes to do this simply because it takes some time to read it. All right, if anyone has any questions while everyone else is reading, you guys can ask me about anything, really. So for the SAT, so I believe it's 60 minutes for reading, 45 minutes for writing, 30 minutes for one of the math sections and 50 minutes for the other one. Let me just check the exact timings. What's that? So yeah, 65 minutes for reading, 35 minutes for writing, and for the math section overall, it's 80 minutes.
Can you put them in the chat, Akash?
All right. Brandon was wondering, it's 65 minutes for reading. 35 minutes for writing. 35 minutes for, and 25 minutes. There. Right, when you guys finish reading the passage, just tell me. I will start, I guess, doing it. Just raise your hand after you guys finish reading the passage.
If you need more time, just put the hand downward.
So that seems like not many people have finished reading the passage. I'll wait a bit longer. All right, we have a quarter of the class, people done with reading the passage. Is anyone else done with reading the passage? Just raise your hand if you are. I'll wait until around half the class is done, and then I'll do the passage. Oh, and keep your hand raised. I'm just gonna wait till there's 100 people who have finished reading the passage. And yeah. Yeah, to the person who asked if those are the times for the entire composition of the SAT, yes. Those are the times for the individual sections. Yeah. All right, we have around 70 people done. We're waiting for another 30 people to finish and raise their hands.
If anyone finding difficulty, let Akash know and he can explain you.
We have 85 people done.
Go for
20
it,
minutes
Akash.
here before. Okay, I'll just get started then. We have around 90 people. Lower your hands if you guys don't have a question though. All right. So let's get started reading it. Do the people who have their hand raised have a question before we start? If not, just lower your hand. All right. So this passage is from Walden by Henry David Thoreau, which basically describes Thoreau's experience living in a cabin alone for 2 years. So yeah, we'll get started. So I think I am living in a society as much as most, and I'm ready to enough to fasten myself like a bloodsucker for the time to any full-blooded man that comes in my way. I am naturally no hermit, but might possibly sit out the sturdiest frequenter of the barroom if my business call me thither. Okay. So basically he's saying so he likes society, but he's willing to basically leech off of anyone who's willing to provide for him. So likes society. However, is willing to leech off of people, and that he's not afraid of loneliness, basically. And he is not afraid of loneliness. Yes. All right. I had 3 chairs in my house, 1 for solitude, 2 for friendship, and 3 for society. When visitors came in larger and unexpected numbers, there was but the third chair for them all. But they generally economized the room by standing up. It's surprising how many great men and women a small house will contain. I have had 25 or 30 souls with their bodies at once under my roof. And yet we often parted without being aware that we had come very near to one another. So basically he says he doesn't have many chairs. He doesn't have many chairs, only 3 chairs. and how like people are willing to, I guess, economize and fit into a small room even without like a chair for them to sit on. So people, I'm just gonna erase the what I wrote for the first paragraph. So okay, so first of all, before we do all that, so we can tell that one chair is when he's alone, one chair for alone, for when alone, for alone. Two chairs is when he has a friend over. Two chairs, the second chair is for a friend, for friend. And the third chair is for anyone else who comes. So the general public, basically. General public. Public. All right. So basically then he talks about how when people come over, when many people come over, they stand up and they don't sit. They stand up. All right. Next passage. One inconvenience I sometimes experience in so small a house, the difficulty of getting to a sufficient distance from my guest when we began to utter the big thoughts and big words. You want room for your thoughts to get into sailing, trim, and run a course or two before they make the report. The bullet of your thought must have overcome its lateral and ricochet motion and fallen into its last and steady course before it reaches the ear of the hearer. Else it may plow out once again through the side of his head. Also, our sentences wanted room to unfold and form their columns in the interval. Individuals, like nations, must have suitable broad and natural boundaries, even a considerable neutral ground between them. I have found it a singular luxury to talk across the pond to a companion on the opposite side. In my house, we were so near that we could not begin to hear. We could not speak low enough to be heard, as when you throw two stones into calm water so near that they break each other's undulations. As the conversations began to assume a loftier and grander tone, we gradually shoved our chairs further apart until they touched the wall in opposite corners, and then commonly there was not room enough. So basically, what he's saying here is when you're thinking, you need room, you need a lot of space. When thinking, you need space around you. Space around you. So that you can make meaningful comments that people won't ignore. So that whatever you say won't be ignored. Then he talks about the struggles of a small house. Talks about struggles of small house, and how having space is a comfort, is a luxury, and how having space is a luxury. Yeah, that's basically the entire passage, the paragraph right there. Then we go down. My best room, however, was my withdrawing room. Always ready for company, on whose carpet the sun rarely fell was the pine wood behind my house. Thither in summer days, when distinguished guests came, I took them, and a priceless domestic swept the floor and dusted the furniture and kept things in order. So, my best room, however. So basically, all right, so basically he's saying the outdoors behind his house was the best place to talk. The outdoors, the outside, I guess his backyard, the backyard behind his house was the best place to talk. And when summer came, that's where he took his guests. Summer came, that's where he took his guests. Right. If one guest came, he sometimes partook of my frugal meal, and it was no interruption to the two conversations to be stirring a hasty pudding or watching the rising and maturing of a loaf of bread in the ashes in the meanwhile. But if 20 came inside my house, there was nothing to be said about dinner, though there might be bread enough for two, more if eating was a forsaken habit. But we naturally practiced abstinence, and this was never felt to be an offense against hospitality, but the most proper and considerate course. The waste and decay of physical life, which so often needs repair, seemed meticulously retarded in such a case, and the vitality vigor stood its ground. I could entertain thus 1,000 as well as 20. And if any ever went away disappointed or hungry in my house when they found me at home, they may depend upon it that I sympathize with them at least. So easy it is it, though many housekeepers doubt it, to establish new and better customs in place of the old. You need not rest your repetition on the dinners you give. So basically, he's saying when there's one person, he gave him food. One person equal food. Food. Many people equal no food. And it's easy to change custom, of giving guest dinner, I guess. Custom of giving guests dinner. All right. As for men, they will hardly fail one anywhere. I had more visitors while I lived in the woods than at any other period of my life. I mean that I had some. I met several there under more favorable circumstances than I could anywhere else, but fewer came to see me on trivial business. In this respect, my company was winnowed by my mere distance from the town. I had withdrawn so far from within the great ocean of solitude into which the rivers of society empty, that for the most part, so far as my needs were concerned, only the finest sediment was deposited around me. So basically what he said is, what he said is, so while he still had a lot of people coming, he still had people coming over to his house, and people coming to his house, only people with important business came. Only people, because he was so far from society. Only people with important business came because he was so far from society. Was so far from society. All right, so basically what we can tell is this entire passage, as it says in the beginning, is just talking about Thoreau basically living in the woods and his experiences there, such as like not feeding many people, or like when people do visit, there's only a couple of chairs and there's like not much space to do anything. And also the fact that like fewer people visited for like trivial stuff, and more people visited for like important things that couldn't be just that isn't like, that's actually worth traveling to wherever he is from the town, I guess. All right, so the main narrative viewpoint of the passage is to, right, so for this, a man adjusting to life in a big city after growing up on a farm. That is just wrong, simply because he went to live in the woods from a city instead. So that's just backwards. The discussion of visitors to a small house away from city life. That sounds promising. He talks about the food, he talks about the distance, he talks about the chairs, when people came over. A sailor discussing the pond on which he grew up and how it affected his friendship. Nowhere does it say about a pond. That's just plain wrong. A man discussing the potential of big thoughts and the need to be expressed. That nowhere does it say about big thoughts and their need to be expressed. Therefore, the answer is B. The passage. Oh, and if you guys have any questions when I answer a question, just raise your hand and I will stop and explain. The past suggested which of the following about the author. He enjoyed a life in the country near a pond. Nowhere does it say a pond. Therefore, well, it says a lake, but it doesn't say he likes living in the country near a pond. It's just that he wants to live in the woods. So that's not right. He had more visitors to his home in the country than any other point in any other time in his life. With this explicitly says that right here. Right here. Therefore, we know that is most likely the answer. You'll still go through the rest of them. If you don't have any time, I would say just put that as your answer simply because you don't have enough time to go through the rest. But if you do have time, I would say just like look at the rest of them just in case. He felt like having more than 3 people at his house was too many. No, he says up here, like you could still come, and he's fine with it. Multiple places he's like, when people come, they just don't get food or they just have to stand up, but I'm okay with it. So it doesn't say anywhere that like he doesn't want people to be there. He needed to throw dinner parties to entice guests to come from his town to his home. Okay, first of all, he says he isn't giving dinner to his guests. That's straight up wrong. And nowhere does it say he's enticing guests to come to from town to his home. And he's like, there's actually rather few people who come. There's like, well, just people with important business come to his house. Nowhere does it say he wants to entice people to come to his house. And therefore, the answer is B. Right. 3. All right. So lines 7 to 11. Okay, no, wait. First of all, we just went up and looked at it, and it says more people, visitors than I live in the woods. So it says it right here. So 75 to 76. See, when I went back and I checked where it says in the passage, when it says stuff like that's explicitly in the passage, you can immediately just tell where the answer is for the next question if it asks where is the best evidence. And the answer to this is D, simply because that's where we found where it says I had more visitors when I lived in the woods than any other period of my life. Okay, so 4. As used in line 11, economize most nearly means. All right, line 11, economize a room. So I guess, so from the context clues, we can say that they used it efficiently. Efficiently is a good word instead of this. So for questions like this, you basically take the word that could be there and replace it and check if it works. So the answer choices I gave: wasted, used efficiently. Oh, says the word the word efficiently, therefore it could be good. Squandered and purchased. So squandered, purchased don't work because they're not talking about the space, and wasted is the opposite of what efficiently is. Therefore, the only answer that is viable is B. Question 5. It can be inferred from the passage that big thoughts, line 21, must be. Right, line 21. Okay. So big thoughts. Okay, so all of this says it needs some time. It needs time. So we'll see what the answer choices are. Okay, so first thing we can say is it's not becoming violent. Nowhere does it say violent. It talks about a gun, but that's not them shooting someone or something violent. It isn't bouncing on and breaking out of one's head. For this answer, this makes it an answer choice wrong. Mulled over and formulated before being heard, and time to move around before being heard. So both of these are possible answers. Now we just need to figure out which is the better answer. So line 21. Right here. Okay. So you want room for your thoughts to get into sailing and trim and run a corner or two before they make their port. The bullet of your thought must have overcome its lateral and ricochet motion and fall into its last and steady course before it reaches the ear of the hearer. Else may pull out the side of our head. Also, okay. Also, our sentences wanted room to unfold and form their columns in the interval. So what I'm getting from this is they need space because, as it says here, they wanted room to go. It has to run a course or two, and you need considerable neutral ground, which means you need a lot of space. Therefore, our answer to this question is D and not C, simply because that's a better answer choice. Both of these technically work. However, D is a better answer choice because it's implied very strongly to the passage. So 6. In the context of the passage, the phrase as when you throw two stones into calm water so near that they break each other's undulations, lines 37 to 39, can be best described as, so lines 37 to 39. Okay, best described as 37 to 39. 37 to 39. Okay, so here they were talking about there's a reason why you need space, and this is like this is basically like an example. It's like, I guess, a figurative way of speech. It's like analogy of like what it should be like. So it's basically talking about how they need space, and they gave an example of two rocks being thrown together, and the ripples will be broken because both of them are thrown near to each other. So let's see what answer choice works best with that. So okay, first of all, before anything, you can immediately see the fact that it says analogy, and that's what I used in my wording. So that already makes this a really good answer. A reference to the author's early childhood days where he threw stones into a lake. No, nowhere does it say the author's childhood days. A way to explain the reasons national boundaries are always increasing. No, that's not why either. A reason why that the author and his companion had to continue to move their chairs to be heard. Nowhere does it say they move their chairs to be heard. It's just so that they just move their chairs when they're talking about big things. Therefore, B is our only answer. Okay, line 27. Plow most nearly means 27. Or else it may plow out. All right, so it may what is it? 27, plow it. Okay, so in this context, it could be push. It could be else it may fall out. Not even fall out. It may like just go through and just stay there. Just like not stay there. So something related to push is what I can tell from the context of that. And we have the word push there. So that looks like a good answer. Furrow doesn't work because furrow means like you're burrowing, and like, well, no, furrow means something else. But in this case, well, okay, fine. We'll just get furrow for now. Cultivate doesn't work because cultivating means you're growing something or something like that. So this is wrong. You're walking. No, I don't think plow means walking. You're not going to walk. An idea is not going to walk out of someone's head. And I don't think I'm pretty sure furrow means means similar to like burrowing in. So instead of going out, it's going in, and that is the opposite of what plow is meaning in that case. Therefore, push is the only answer. What happens when the author does not give enough food for his guests? Okay, so this was, I think, where he says when a lot of people come. All right, yeah. So in this paragraph, see, there's a reason why I do sentences after each paragraph, because now I remember what happens where, because I wrote them down, and that's just for a way for your brain to say, oh, I remember this because I wrote down this happened here. All right, so what happens when a lot of people came? So if 20 people came, there's nothing to be said about dinner, so there's no dinner. If 1,000 people came, there's still not going to be any dinner. So basically that there's no dinner. So yeah, he doesn't share. He just says there's no dinner. He doesn't turn them away. They still stay there. He doesn't buy more food. There's literally no dinner for them, but they do refrain from eating because there is no dinner. Mohit?
Yeah, so like the top, could you go up to the reading section again?
Right here.
Could you just go like up a little bit?
I already came to the food part. This.
Okay, okay, yep. Thank you.
All right. Do you need me to keep it here or like, can I go down now? Just lower your hand after you're done.
You can go down now.
Yeah. And also, could you lower your hand? Yeah, thanks.
Yep, thank you.
All right. The passage just housekeepers most likely are okay. So from what I remember from the passage, basically he says that tradition can change and housekeepers don't believe it. So it says, yeah, the housekeepers, though many housekeepers doubt it. So basically saying many housekeepers don't want to change their tradition and they just want the tradition to stay the same. They don't believe that the tradition should change or can change. But Thoreau's like, yes, it can change. I made it so that it does change and such. So yeah, are stuck on their ways and are unable to change. That sounds like a good answer. Feel that tradition should not change. That also sounds like a good answer. Believe there's a certain particle that may be followed when hosting guests. That is not what there is. It's just like they don't believe the fact that this happens. And feel like pudding and bread are not suitable meal. Okay, that D is just straight up wrong. So now it's between A and B. So stuck in the ways and unable to change versus believe that tradition should not change. All right. So I'm gonna guess. So I'm gonna go back down and look at the answers again. Stuck in their tradition and unable to change. Okay, so nowhere does it say they're unable to change. They just don't want to change because it says they doubt it versus like they just can't not feed people dinner when people come over. Therefore, the answer for this would be B. B. All right. 10. What does the author mean when only finite sediment was deposited? So from this, I remember exactly what it means simply because I wrote it as my description. Basically means only people with like the most important news and the most important duties, I guess, came over to his house. We can go back up and look at it, 84 to 85. Only the finest, okay, the last sentence. And see, in this passage, in this paragraph, it says fewer came to see me on trivial business and only the finest sediment. In this case, you could say people. The sediment is basically, I guess, a replacement for the word people here. People came over. So yeah, we can just say it's important people. Finest caliber. A sounds like a good answer. One sec. It looks like a good answer. Nowhere does it say he was covered in fine dust. B can't be the answer. Pondner's home frequently flooded. Nope. Nowhere does it say that. And people came to see about the dirty business of trivial matters. It clearly says that up here, it clearly says people, fewer came to see me on trivial business. So like that can't be the answer either because the passage says it can't be. Therefore, the answer is A. What choice provides the best evidence to the answer to the previous question? So it's going to be in the last passage for sure, since that's where we got all of our things. So it's from 74 to 85. Which of these work? So 79, because that's the only one with in that paragraph. So we'll go look at what line 79 says. Did I misclick something? Okay, no. Right here. 79 says that fewer people came to visit me on trivial business. And that was one of the evidences that we used to say that the previous answer is he's living far away from town, people are of higher caliber. Therefore, D is the answer. If you guys want, should I go and look at all the other evidences or can I just turn this in? Just raise your hand if you want me to go through all the evidences. Okay, okay, yeah. So lines 48 to 50. Lines 48 to 50. All right. So right here. Where does it start? A priceless. Okay. All right. A priceless domestic floors. Okay. That is just wrong because that's not even talking about the people at all. Therefore, that can't be the I guess the evidence. 75 to 77. Oh wait, I didn't see 75 to 77. All right, 75 to 77 between what? I had more and some. I had more visitors. Okay, so basically that's just saying he has more visitors. It isn't talking about the quality of the visitors and like nothing about like whether they're important people or like they're just better visitors or like, yeah. This is just saying that more people visited when he was there. Therefore, that can't be the answer either. Line 70 to 72. That's through old. Through many, yeah. '70 to 72. Okay, through many to old. So this doesn't talk about the visitors at all. It talks about the housekeepers and how tradition should be changed. Therefore, that can't be an answer either. Therefore, D is the only remaining answer. All right, Naren. Naren, you have your hand raised.
Oh, I just wanted to see all the questions again.
Okay, I gave you guys the link. Here, I'll post the link again. 1 second. That is the link to this reading quiz, I guess. And we'll submit. Looks like I got all of them right. All right. Any questions about this again? I'll give you guys a minute to ask like. All right, no
Maybe
questions?
ask if everyone is good with the previous one. Maybe ask them to raise their hands.
All right, yeah, if you guys are good with the passage, I guess just raise your hand.
If anyone is not clear, you can show the thumbs up, thumbs down. That way Akash knows it.
All right, looks like no one has any questions. We'll go back to the slides then. All right, now we'll do some reading questions. You guys can lower your hands. All right, some writing questions. I'll give you guys a minute to do this. And yeah. All right, another 30 seconds, and then I will do the problem. All right. So for this question, here, 1 second after. Nothing works. All right, so we're taught I guess the people that are being talked about are the mosquitoes, and we're editing this. So in this case, there's an easy way of figuring this one out. Replace mosquitoes with they, and just try all of these. They first zeros doesn't work. That just doesn't sound right. They is first zeroing, doesn't sound right either. They first zero sounds right. They has first zero doesn't sound right either. Therefore, all of these are wrong, and the only right answer would be this. Any questions? Sriram?
So for this question, if let's say answer D was like had first zeroed, will it like count or not?
A recent experiment revealed that mosquitoes, hungry mosquitoes. No, because okay, no. So this is talking in present tense, first of all, before anything.
Mm-hmm.
Had first zeroed is past tense.
Oh, okay.
You can't just switch between tenses in the middle of this thing.
Right. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? No? Or no, Sai?
But isn't revealed like past tense? How does that work?
It revealed that hungry mosquito and the rest of it, and then on warmth. So right now I said it with had, but like in this case, they first zero in. They had first zeroed in on smell. So okay, no, we're talking about the recent experiment and what it revealed now versus what happened in the experiment. So the recent experiment revealed that the hungry mosquitoes, they zero in. The hungry mosquitoes zero in as in like they currently do, versus like if we talked about during a recent experiment, hungry mosquitoes had zeroed in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense now.
All right, any other questions? Oh, and can you lower your hand after you're done asking a question? Thanks. All right, no other questions? We'll continue then. All right. Here's another one. I'll give you guys a minute to do this one as well. Another 30 seconds. All right. So for this question, 1 second. All right, for this question. So first thing we do is an aster is a particularly colorful flower to plant in one's backyard or garden. That sounds right. The is makes it like a singular, particularly colored flower. So it's a singular and singular. That works. That checks out. So A checks out. The aster is particularly colorful flowers. Is and flowers, they don't match up. Singular versus plural. This is singular. This is plural. That doesn't work. Particularly multicolored flowers, same reason as B. This is plural. So this is wrong. Species, same as before, plural. Therefore, D can't be right either, and A is the only answer choice. Any questions? Just raise your hand or I guess message me in private in the chat. No questions? All right, we'll move on. All right, I'll give you guys a minute to do this one as well. All right. So for this question, yoga about popular children's program explores life topics like dance and friendship through song and dance. It also features many guest stars like Mos Def, My Chemical Romance, and Jack Black, to name a few. No, Mos Def, My Chemical Romance, and Jack Black, to name a few, have already appeared on this show. Okay, that sounds correct. That looks correct as well. Mos Def, My Chemical Romance, and Jack Black, to name a few, will have already appeared. Will have and already, these two should never go together because already is past and this is future, I think. Yeah, they're just different tenses. Appearing on the show, this doesn't work as well because they already appear. If it was stars such as, if you say the sentence was stars such as, to name a few, appearing, well, no, that doesn't work. Appearing just doesn't work at all. No matter what, it just doesn't sound right. Would have already appeared. Would have already appeared just is overly complicated, first of all, and that also just sounds wrong. You can just tell. But yeah, A is the answer. Any questions? Just raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay, so for the previous question, I think it was no change. The flower one was no change for the person who asked. All right, no questions. We'll continue, I guess. I'll give you guys a minute to do this one as well. Y'all can ask me any questions while everyone else is doing the problem. If you have any questions about stuff, even if it isn't just this question, we can talk, I guess. All right, another 30 seconds. Right. So gargoyles on buildings are not just decorative, but they're all actually architectural components that the feature design elements like they're actually architectural elements. There are actually architectural components that feature design elements like elongated shapes and open mouths. This helps gargoyles serve their actual purpose, conveying water away from the sides of the building. So this refers to one thing. However, there's two design elements like elongated shapes and open mouths. So that's singular versus plural again still. 1 versus 2. 1, 2. Therefore, A can't be the answer. It is still 1. It's just referring to one thing. That can't be the answer either. Both of these elements help. That's referring to two things. Sounds like an answer. That helps. Still referring to one thing. That can't be the answer either. So C is the answer. Any questions? And for the people who got this wrong, I'm pretty sure what you guys did is you guys just didn't read it correctly or something like that. Right, no questions? I guess we'll continue then. Okay, so yeah, I'll give you guys a minute to do this one. All right, I guess I'll do this one now. So, as we know, although we know him best as a master of theater, William Shakespeare considered penning poetry to be a more serious literary endeavor than writing plays. The Bard crafted more than 150 sonnets, and our first ever publication was the poem Venus and Adonis. So first of all, this just sounds wrong simply because we're addressing the Bard, who's a male, who's William Shakespeare. So our is a plural, that doesn't work. His looks correct because we're referring to William Shakespeare, who's a male, and it's his first ever publication. There, that's plural. That doesn't sound right either. Plural, that's wrong. They, also plural. That's just wrong as well. Therefore, B is our only answer. All right. Any questions, Roshan?
How would we, I mean, we are supposed to know that the Bard refers to William Shakespeare from the sentence containing, I mean, the sentence's subject being William Shakespeare?
Yeah, since so the entire thing's talking about the William Shakespeare, and he's a master of theater. There, he's a bard because that's what bards do.
Oh.
We know this is the bard, and then the bard is referring to this. Therefore, we know this has to refer to this.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
That was really bad drawing, but like it's okay. Any other questions? No? Right. Give you guys a minute to do this one as well. And after this, we'll do one more passage, and that's it for today. One more reading passage, and that's all. All right. So as we talked about at the beginning, modifiers are always supposed to be followed by the thing that's being modified, which is happening here. So this looks like a correct answer. This animation company is not modifying magic. That can't be the answer. This animation company based in California is not modifying making. That's not the answer either. And this animation company based in California is not modifying technology, therefore that can be the answer, and A is the only answer left. Any questions? Roshan?
The better, I mean, shouldn't another comma be placed after Pixar? No, to say
No,
like,
no. So it's a modifier. So basically, modifiers. The thing with modifiers is they're basically serve to give more information. If we just like took this all out,
Mhm.
this still makes a sentence, right? This makes sense, right?
yeah,
That's what a modifier is. It's basically extra information that you can just remove entirely.
no.
And it just all it serves to do is give us more information about whatever noun it's describing.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Right? Any questions? No? All right, we'll do one more reading passage and then I'll tell you guys what to do for next week. And that's it for today. I'll give you guys, actually, no, wait, we don't have enough time. I'll read it through with you guys. If you guys want, you can read it by yourselves on the side.
You want to post the link into the chat?
Yeah, I'll give you the link. Nope, that sent it to one person by accident. There. I will go through the passage at the same time as you guys because we don't have too much time left. And yeah. So with simple and appropriate exercises, the beautiful new Carnegie Library was thrown open to the public yesterday, says the morning newspaper of Atlanta, Georgia. So library opened. Library. Oh my God, I can't spell. That is also weird. All right. Library. Library opened. Opened in Atlanta. The white marble building, the gift of Andrew Carnegie's, is indeed fair to look upon. The site was given the city by given, I guess they meant to the city, but like it's fine, to the city by a private library association. And the city council appropriates $5,000 annually of the city's monies for its support. If you will climb the hill where the building sits, you may look down upon the rambling city. Northward and southward are 53,905 white people. Eastward and westward are 35,912 African Americans. So there are a bunch of grammar errors in here. Don't mind it. This is because like they just took it from I guess an article. But yeah. So $5,000, $5K given by city annually. By city annually, which means every year. And there are a lot of white people in the north. White people in the north of the library. North of library. And African Americans are to the south. Well, no, it's north to the east and west. East plus west. And this is north, well, south plus north, south plus north. All right. And so on behalf of these 36,000 people, my companions and I called upon the trustees of the library on this opening day, for we had heard the Black people were to have no part in this free public library, and we thought it well to go ask why. It was not pleasant going in, for people stared and wondered what business we had there, but the trustees, after some waiting, received us courteously and gave us seats, some 8 of us in all. To me, unfortunately, I had fallen the lot to begin talking. I said briefly. So basically, representatives from African American reps went to the library to ask why African Americans can't go to the library. Go to the library. All right. Okay, gentlemen, we are committee come to ask that you do justice to the Black people of Atlanta by giving them the same free library privileges that you propose giving the whites. Every argument which can be adduced to show the need of libraries for whites applies to the redoubled force to the Blacks. More than any part of our population, they need instruction, inspiration, and proper diversion. They need to be lured from the temptations of the streets and saved from evil influences, and they need a growing acquaintance with what the best of the world's souls have thought and done and said. It seems hardly necessary in the 20th century to argue before men like you on the necessity and proper propriety of placing the best means of human uplifting in the hands of the poorest and lowest and blackest. So basically, give access to the African American, give free library access to the African Americans. Give free library access to the African Americans. Americans. Then I pointed out the illegality of using public money collected for all for the exclusive benefit of a part of the population, or of distributing public utilities in accordance with the amount of taxes paid by any individual or class. And finally, I concluded by saying, so basically, the illegality of what they're doing. The illegality of what they are doing. The spirit of the great gift of this great gift to the city was not the spirit of caste or exclusion, but rather the Catholic spirit which recognizes no artificial differences of rank or birth or race, but seeks to give all men equal opportunity to make the most of themselves. It is our sincere hope that the city will prove itself broad once enough and just enough to administer this trust, the true spirit in which it was given. Basically, they hope the city will give them justice, I guess. Will give them justice. Okay. And then I sat down. There was a little pause, and the chairman, leaning forward, said, "I would like to ask you a question. Do you not think allowing whites and blacks to use the library would be fatal to its usefulness?" So, counter argument. These come at times words linked together, which seem to accord in strange recurring resonance with words of other ages, and one hears with the voice of many centuries and wonders which century is speaking. So basically, I guess like stuff that's been said for centuries, but I guess it's outdated thinking. I guess outdated thinking from different centuries. Different centuries. I will simply express no opinion on that point. No response, I guess. No response. Then among us darker ones then from among us darker ones another arose. He was an excellent and adroit speaker. He thanked the trustees for the privilege of being there and reminded them that a short time ago even this privilege would have been impossible. He said, "We did not ask to use this library, and we would not ask equal privileges. We only wanted some privileges somewhere." And he assured the trustees that he had perfect faith in their justice. So I guess wanted some privileges, and thought and said, yeah, trustees, and trusted the justice, I guess, trusted justice. The president of the trustee board then arose, gray-haired and curious. He congratulated the last speaker and expressed pleasure at our call. He gave us to understand 4 things. So thanked them and gave told them something. Thanked them and told them. Okay, African Americans would be permitted. Would not be permitted. Told them no. That some library facilities will be provided them in the future. So for now. And to this end, the city council would be asked to appropriate some. Okay, and then some money would be given back, and some money would be given back. Some money would be given back. And a new library would be made, and a new library would be made from donations. Would be made from donations. And then they left. Right. We have around 10 minutes to do this, so I'm gonna have to go through these pretty fast. Okay, so question 1, which choice best explains why Du Bois wrote this passage? Okay. Okay, so A, no, there's no where it doesn't say philanthropists such as Andrew Carnegie should fund new libraries. The trustees wanted African Americans to use the library, so that can't be right. To contrast his position on public access with that of the trustees. Well, no, okay, no. The trustees did want the African Americans not to use the library, but they didn't explain why. They didn't explain that, other than the fact that like it's not going to be good if Black Americans came to the library. To contrast his position on public access with the libraries with that of the trustees, that sounds correct because they argued against it. To say support for construction of the new library just for African Americans. The trustee said that. Therefore, the only answer here is C. Which lines provide the best evidence to the answer for the answer to the previous question? Okay, lines 14 to 18 is 14 to 18. So on behalf. Okay, so basically it says right here that he went to ask why the African Americans don't have access to the library. And that is quite literally what we just said right here. And therefore A is the answer. Well, I'll get to the rest of these questions. And if you guys want me to go through all the evidences, and if we have time, we can go through it. But first, we'll just get through all the questions. As used in line 23, lot most narrowly means 23 lot. 23 lot. 23 fall in the lot. Okay, so I guess like the fall in the chance or I guess the opportunity or something like that. So 3 not predictable result. It's not a random decision, I guess. Well, okay, no. So in that case, I'm pretty sure lot doesn't mean like it fell upon him to do it. So the responsibility, that's the word I was searching for. Responsibility. It's not an unaccepted consequence, and it is an agreed upon responsibility because it has the word responsibility in there. Any questions? Like, you guys can still ask questions here. Also, for the person who asked, do we get a dictionary for reading and writing? No, you do not. They provide nothing but the paper, the test papers, I'm pretty sure, yeah. The SAT provides nothing but the test papers. Any questions so far for the first 3 questions? Okay, so for 4, it could be reasonably inferred from the passage that trustees would consider this construction of segregated public facility library facilities. That looks like a correct answer. And for evidence, if we go back up, right here, all this. So around that is all that's like we'll get another library. They said they'll get another library. That sounds correct. The trustees agreed with Du Bois's arguments in favor of expanding, but no, they did not. They're like, no, we'll see in the future. The trustees are integrating public. Nope. They're like, I'm not doing that. The trustees proposed concrete plans to provide library facilities for African Americans. No, they're just like, we'll find someone to do it. And then for question 5, where's the lines? It's like down here. So it has to be near the end, 83 to 84. 83 to 84, that some library facilities will provide them in the future. That looks like a correct answer, and we just went up and checked. So that will be our answer there. As used in line 35, a growing acquaintance most nearly means 35. They need a growing acquaintance. So basically they need familiarity. They need familiarity. They want to get used to it, introduced to it, stuff like that. Introduced to it. Increasing, okay, so a friendly relationship. Nope, that's not what we just said. Increasing comprehension, familiarity, that sounds pretty good. Active involvement, no. A brief initiation, growing familiarity, initiation does work. However, a brief one is not what they wanted. They wanted to just like be introduced to them overall and just to have the resources available. Number 7. Actually, we have basically run out of time, so we'll just submit whatever we have here. Does anyone want one specific question to be answered? Just raise your hand. I'll answer that one question, then we'll go back to the slides. Sai?
Yeah, so for the last question, actually for I think it was the one where they went back to the passage for question 5. Can't lines 81 to 82 also be an answer because it kind of shows the segregation?
No, but like they're saying we want different libraries. It doesn't say this here. It just says that you aren't allowed to use this one specific library. All right. Anyone want one specific question, or I'm just gonna submit this and we'll go ahead. Abiram?
Can you answer number 9?
All right, number 9 is in 61 to 65. 61 to 65, what does he want? Most likely indicates. 61 to 65, there are times. Okay, so basically this is just stuff that we've been hearing for centuries and it's like outdated. So A doesn't work. It doesn't say he wants to live in a different country. B looks like it works because it's like their attitudes haven't changed over time. All that here. The C's we're thinking about another time when a person said the exact same words to him. No, he hasn't lived for centuries. There's no way he would know someone who did say that to him a couple centuries ago. And it's planning a detailed response to the chairman's questions. That isn't really what is there. So therefore B is the answer. And yeah, that's it for this paragraph. We'll just turn in whatever we have. We'll check our answers. Right. Okay, we got everything that we did right. All right, so for next class, I guess just start looking at quadratics and we'll cover the general overview of passports to advanced math, solving quadratic equations, interpreting nonlinear equations, and quadratic and exponential word problems. I'll stay here for any questions you guys have. Other than that, yeah. Sai, do you still have a question?
Oh, no.
Y'all are free to go. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. I'll answer them. Stick around for a couple, like 2 to 3 minutes from now. Okay, so for the person who asked the flower question, this one, so species is So an aster is particular beautiful species, just doesn't work because species is only referring to multiple different species versus one thing. It can't be singular. Well, in certain cases it can be, but in this case, it's referring to multiple different species and is plural and therefore wouldn't work with the word is. Do you get it, Sri?